Hi, it's Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. My goal inside of this communication, this show, is to share with you my nearly 30 years of coaching some of the most successful financial advisors in North America. We're going to be talking about strategies, syntaxes. We're going to be bringing guests on from time to time, and I'm going to share with you what's working now. So think of this show as sort of like a little one-on-one kind of mini coaching cast, if you like, where we're going to be going in depth from time to time on strategies to help you grow your business, get more effective, become more efficient, find balance in your time management, grow your business, and quite frankly, whatever else is going on in the world today. So before we get to today's episode, I'd love for you to do a couple things for me. Number one, make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're doing the audio, make sure that you give us a review on whether Spotify or Apple. We'd really appreciate that. And quite frankly, that does help. It does matter when you rate things and like things and subscribe to things. It helps us get the word out to more of the industry. And lastly, I have a very special gift for you. Go to MagellanNetwork.net, so one word, MagellanNetwork.net, and I have for you a complimentary membership, 100% gratis, where you can tap into about between 50 and 75 hours of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, and strategies. So please go ahead and make sure you go get that claimed, smash the like button and subscribe. And please go ahead and leave us a review on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And now, let's get to this week's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. In this episode, we're going to have a very esoteric conversation, and the topic is going to be how certainty creates an excellent financial advisor, an excellent financial planner, but it absolutely crushes you from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Now, why do I say that? I'm going to give you a little story here. So I had this epiphany. I took my family to Park City, Utah, right after the holidays. And in that window, the kids are out skiing. I'm working on my vision plan, my 10-year business plan, like all my clients do. And I kind of come up with my 10-year. So in our model, we do a 10-year grand vision, 3-year, 1 year. So we kind of get very grand, and then we kind of get a little bit more tactical as we get closer to today. And in my 10-year, I wrote down a business vision, and I'm done. Right, I did my business vision, and my brain went, okay, we know how we can get that done. It makes sense, so on and so forth. And then I went to bed, and then I got up the next morning. And I looked at it and I went, am I playing too small? Because what I did in my plan is I had certainty. So our concept when we do goal setting is we always, especially as an advisor, you work in a band because there's you can't do absolutes. It's not in your best interest. So what do I mean by a band? We're going to have, let's just say we have a top line revenue / production number. You're going to have a bottom line number, right, that, is kind of a little bit of moving the needle. So it's progress. And then we're going to have what we call the brass ring number. And what I realized was, even myself, is my brass ring number was, I was able to reverse engineer how to get it done. Why? Because human beings crave certainty. So what makes you a really good planner advisor is that you double check things, everything's got a formula, preservation of capital, all those things. So the things that make you very good technically hurt you from a success standpoint. Here's why. So I looked at this, and I'm going to tell you some client situation, then I'll bring this all together. That's why I said it's going to be esoteric today. Is I looked at it, and I revamped my 10-year. And it doesn't matter what I wrote down, it's just a big economic number. And when I wrote it down 10 years from now, there were two things that came to me immediately. Number one, I have no clue of how I'm going to accomplish it. And for me, I don't have a business model that is in my brain that will accomplish it. So I probably did this like the 5th and 6th of January. Okay. And I'm recording this on Thursday, the 26th of January, and it'll go out in a couple weeks. And so what I do, so I wrote that out and I said, okay, well, that's definitely uncomfortable, right? That stretches the needle. And then I thought about it. I said, it dawned on me, there's like an epiphany that most advisors, when it comes to goal setting, they validate it by reverse engineering it. And we'll just talk economics. So, hey, I want to increase my business by 20%. So I need X amount of households, X amount of dollars in new money, blah, blah, blah. And in other words, I can reverse engineer it. So now why do you do that? Certainty. You want certainty. Where the game really is accepting uncertainty into goal planning, business planning, not financial planning. Now we want certainty driven. But here we want levels of uncertainty. And by definition, uncertainty equals uncomfortableness because you don't know how you're going to do it, right? So if I said to you, and let's just say, and I'll paraphrase a conversation I had recently with a client. So clients, let's say they're $1 million and they say, hey, I want to be at, $2.5 million in 10 years. I said, tell me how you're going to get there. And they're able to absolutely tell me how they're going to get there. I said, you're not thinking big enough. How have I said to you that I think your 10-year vision economically probably needs to be $3.5 to $5 million? Their answer was, man, I don't know. I don't think I can do that. That's scary. I don't know how I'm going to pull that off. I said, great, then that's the right number. So here's kind of the epiphany. There are two goals that you always set. You set one goal as the one that you feel fairly confident. It's still going to be greater than what you've done. So we still need to be advancing the needle, so to speak. So it needs to be out there. But then the second number has to be like, I don't really have a clue how I'm going to pull it off. And the reason why I say it's the right number, because your brain will go to work. So here's the thing. Your brain will go to work. It's called the reticular activating system, RAS. You can look it up. You can Google it if you like. If you set something out there, your brain will go to work to solve it for you. So give it a little problem, it will solve a little problem. And I look at, growth as a problem. Hey, I need a problem solve here, right? So like in my world, every morning I would get up and I would say, hey, how am I going to do X? And I did that for 20 some odd days, 18 days. And literally, as I'm recording this, 24 hours ago, I thought when I was asking myself, how am I going to do that in 10 years? My brain gave me a concept. It was like, well, how about this? I went, And why is that important? Because I went in a space of less than 3 weeks in a 10-year concept. I went from I have no idea how to do it. I've got no business model for it to I've got a working concept. That's powerful. So why I'm driving this conversation with you, stop thinking small. Stop thinking with certainty as a prime driver to your vision. You need to have it out there where it's uncomfortable. In that level of uncomfortableness is where the win is. Do not worry about trying to reverse it. We don't need to worry about our reverse 10-year vision. So if I said to you all right here as an example, tell me where economically you want to be a decade from now. Now I want you to double it. That just blew most of you out the door. But let's just say we decide that's what we want. And so when I wrote my 10-year vision, it wasn't that I needed it. I wanted it. Right? Bottom line. So now I've gone back to my clients, and this is why I'm sharing this with everybody in this episode. So I'm going back to my clients. I'm saying, hey, let's look at your plan. Hey, tell me, and here's the test. Tell me about the top line, how you're going to engineer it. And if they can tell me, here's what we need to do. I said, it's not big enough. I need a number that you can't really back into. I need a number that I don't know how I'm going to get that done. Then that's the right number. So there's two numbers in our conversation. There's going to be the number I feel pretty certain I got to get done, I can move the needle, and then the one I have no idea how I'm going to do. So here's what most people do, what most advisors do. Let's just say they have a range. Let's have a conversation of, let's say, $1 million. Let's say somebody in 2023 has a goal of doing a minimum of $1 million. They want to hit that $1 million threshold, which these days don't really mean much because of inflation. And they want to go from, let's say, 1.1 million to like 1.2. What most advisors will do when they look at their goal, they'll ask themselves the lower question. Hey, how am I going to get to $1 million this year? And shockingly, unless you totally lay an egg and just totally get dysfunctional, you'll probably get it right around $1 million. Why? Because that's what you wanted. Now, if you start asking yourself the question, how do I get to 1.2 million? Your brain will go to work to solve that problem. But if you're not asking it to solve the problem, right, actively, intentionally, and you're asking to solve the $1 million problem, you'll solve the $1 million problem. That's small ball. And this was like my epiphany. So I know you all need to meet your needs for certainty, but I need you to explore the uncertainty side of things. And when you start looking at what you want to accomplish, I need you to look at the big thing you want to accomplish, not the little safe thing. Like, that's not the conversation. And I'm telling you, it works. Because it worked for me, and every client I've exposed this to in the last 2 weeks, I said, hey, when you think about your goals, how do you think about them? Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs here, and I'm just breaking here for a moment just to do a couple quick reminders. Number one, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel or our podcast. In addition, please leave a comment or a review. Those things really, really matter. And share this episode with 3 of your colleagues inside the financial services space. And lastly, make sure that you go ahead and claim your free membership inside of Magellan Network. Now back to this week's episode. Does your brain go, well, once I get the low number, then I'll go for the big number? The problem is you spend all your thinking about the low number. You're trying to solve the small problem, i.e., versus trying to solve the big problem, which is where the big game is. That's where the big success is. So what I want you all to do, because we're so early, look, it's so early in 2023 here. We're like 1 month into the game here. I want you to look at your goals and your vision, even for this year, short term, and ask yourself, is my top line number big enough where I'm not clear how I'm going to do it? It's highly uncomfortable, quote unquote. It gives me a big, very, very large pucker factor, whatever way you want to frame it. Okay, that's question one. Then question two, ask yourself, how am I going to pull it off? The big number. And your brain goes, I don't know. That's okay. Tomorrow you get up, next question. Hey, how am I going to pull it off? I don't know. I did that for literally 20 days. Then literally morning ago, my brain went, how about this? And it literally just popped in. Like, I didn't study. I didn't Google it. I didn't go research or anything. I just kept Q&A'ing myself. This is not like, oh, Joe, I don't think that's not who like. Every one of you who is watching or listening to me has had this happen. I'll give you like a framework on it. Have you ever had a situation where you're trying to solve something? It could be trying to fix something around the house. It could be something around with your children. Doesn't matter. And you're just like, I don't know. I can't figure this out. And then you go away from it. You walk away. 5 minutes, a day, a couple hours, whatever. And then all of a sudden, an answer presents itself to you. Why? Because you asked it to solve it for you. It just didn't come fast enough. So you walk away, and then all of a sudden, it shows up. The answer, or the possibility. Okay? Now, along with this, there's something else that's very important. Here's why you need to set big goals and look at them every day. When you first write them down, your brain goes, I have no idea how to do that. I don't think we can do it. I don't know how we're going to pull that off. Typical. I did the same thing. But here's what's interesting. The more your mind sees that goal, because you see it every day in our model, you see it every morning, it's part of your morning ritual, it's part of our Magellan Morning Gate, you see the big number. Your brain will start it goes from uncomfortable, like I have no idea how we do it, to, this may be possible, right? To where this now is probable, to now this is certain it's happening, okay? What most people do, and this is my epiphany, is we start with the it's probable, it's certain. We don't get into the it's impossible to it's possible. We don't play in that space. Why? It's highly uncomfortable. It creates massive amounts of uncertainty. I don't know how we're going to do this. I can't reverse engineer it. And I was talking to a client literally, and then I'm going to get you guys out here. So real quick, so I don't it's in my mind. And you guys know I kind of just do these things off the top of my head. I don't really have notes or anything. Number one, when you're setting any goal, production goal, asset goal, new household goals, whatever it is, again, I want a probable number and I want an impossible number, or current concept of impossible. Okay? And everything. And then every morning you ask yourself, how am I going to do this? And you're going to have, I don't know, most of the time until the day you don't have that answer anymore, and you'll have something. Okay? So the mind goes from, I don't think we can do this, I have no idea, but it sees it every day, to working on it to, oh, now it's possible. If something becomes possible, the brain goes, okay, it's possible now. Now let's work it. And that's where you'll start reverse engineering it. See, from I don't know how I'm going to do this / impossible to possible. That is a very uncomfortable, uncertain zone. But that's where the win is. That's where the juice is when you do it. And then what you do as part of your morning rituals, every morning you ask yourself, how am I going to do this? You're going to get, I don't know. And then you're going to get one day an answer. Once the mind accepts it as a possibility, it then goes, again, the mind being the subconscious, it now will go put extra effort in to create certainty for you. It will come up with possible scenarios, resources, concepts, strategies to create certainty for you. And that's the beauty of the game. Because once the mind can see it possible, it will work very hard to make it probable. But if you're only asking for small things, a 10% increase year over year, right? Well, if I can just put an extra $100,000 a year on the books, I'd be thrilled. Then that's what your brain's going to do. Then that's the problem. The brain will go solve that problem for you. But if you ask it, hey, what I really want is $250,000 a year, your brain will go to work with that problem too. Because the brain is a massive problem-solving machine. The problem is we don't ask it great questions. We don't give it big enough problems to solve. So instead of feeding your beautiful machine called the mind little things, what we'll call them softball problems. How do I make some more money, or how do I grow at 5% or 10%? Why don't you start asking some big questions? And then ask it every morning the same question over and over each morning. Like just one time. I'm not saying that like you're going to chant it. I'm telling you, every morning in the month of January, I ask myself, how am I going to, and again, it's my goal. I don't want to be judged here. It's a big damn number though. And I'm telling you, for weeks, I had no answer. But I asked the same question every morning on my walk and talk. Then the other day, a concept appeared because my mind was seeking it, because I asked it to. And for some of you, that just got a little woo-woo-y. And I understand that. But I'm telling you, that's the way the mind works. So before we bounce out of here today, a couple things real quick. Number one, and look, if you're part of Magellan Network, great. If you're not, I'm going to serve you just the same in this conversation right now. Look at your goals, and I want you to think about it in three tranches. What I want to accomplish this year, what I want to accomplish 3 years from now, and what I want to accomplish 10 years from now. And we'll just talk economically. And I want you to, in each instance, come up with a range containing two numbers. The bottom, certainty, I feel I can get this done, probability. And then I have no idea how I'm going to get it done number. The impossible number. And then what I want you to do each morning is focus on the impossible number in all three situations. So hypothetically, hey, I want to do $1 million this year. I want to do 3 years. I want to do like $2 million in 3 years, and 10 years from now, I want to be doing $5 million. Right? Hey, how am I going to do $5 million in 10 years? Your brain goes, I have no idea. How am I going to do $3 million in 3 years from now? I have no idea. How am I going to do $1 million? I have no idea. But if you allow your brain to go to work for you and make it an ally, not an enemy, you'll be shocked at some point you're going to get answers. You're going to start getting situations. You're going to start getting ideas, concepts, strategies. And your brain will actually go to work, solve a problem for you. The old saying, like a computer, right? Garbage in, garbage out. Feed your brain with garbage, stupid questions, low goals. You're going to get results back that are exactly what you asked for. You're going to get asking, you shall receive. Or you start asking bigger questions in uncertainty, not trying to reverse engineer from day one. Okay? So, like I said, we're going to be a little esoteric today, but for some of you, I just unlocked some massive possibilities for you. And that's what I want to do. Okay? Now, remember, if you're not a member of MagellanNetwork.net, we have a brand new landing page, brand new offers. We have a whole really cool basic free membership, gratis for me. I don't know, 75 hours worth of stuff, just like this. So you may go check that out. Forward this podcast, YouTube video to your friends, colleagues in the industry. Love that. Subscribe. Make sure you're hooked up with me on the podcast side of things, and you're following me on YouTube. That way you get alerted when we drop a new episode every week. Thank you for listening and watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.